Joining us now on Radio Exposed is Rashad Eggleston, cellist for the band Tornado Rider. That's right, I said cellist. Rashad, welcome to Radio Exposed.
Thank you. Welcome to my world of snarls.
And for the listeners, you are being welcomed to an awesome world. And when you guys hear this, you feel welcomed. Rashad, you are a very accomplished cellist. How long have you been playing, and when was it that you decided this isn't the instrument for me right here?
I've been playing cello for 24 years, starting when I was 8, and maybe that's too much information, but I decided to pursue the cello full time when my dad pointed out to me that there was plenty of guitarists in the world and not that many cellists, and I was going to go apply for a scholarship to Berklee College of Music in Boston, and it was really a good choice that I chose the cello because I've gotten all kinds of interesting situations going because I played the cello instead of the guitar.
Okay. Now, as you were growing up with your instrument and the practice, when did you decide, I'm going to start using the cello a different way than some of the other people?
Well, I always was trying to sneak stuff in during my lessons. My mom would come to my cello lessons with me, and she'd take notes, and then we'd go home, and every night before I wanted to go play with my friends or go play baseball or something, she'd be like, okay, Rashad, you need to practice for an hour. And then I'd go and have to practice for an hour, and she'd go over all the notes. And I remember always just trying to make stuff up, and then she'd kind of rein it in, and be like, come on, you got to focus. But my mom was really actually wonderful because she made me start violin at 3. Anyways, but yeah, so I was always trying to do stuff like that. But then it was when I was 12 and I got there's a whole situation. But really, it was about when I was 16, I think I was in a hippie band. I was a wannabe hippie because I didn't smoke weed, and then there was 2 guys that smoked a lot of weed, and they it was a guitarist and a bass player, and they had me come jam with them, and they made me carry all these big amps out into the middle of the woods where they found a secret electric closet and play in there, and then I forgot to bring a sweater, and I was all cold. And that's the kind of a bummer of it. It turned out that we made some fun music, but it was a chance for me. I didn't realize, looking back though, that now I do, that it was my first chance to improvise on the cello and just use it like I would, because I always jammed on guitar with it. It's actually pretty simple. It's just like any instrument. You can either play things that already exist, or you can make something up. So to me, it's not really that big a deal to be doing something on the cello. It's just that it hasn't been done before because it's kind of a weird instrument, and people tend to hide behind the history.
Yeah. Now, before you got into the band, what were some of the things you were doing with cello? Were you in different orchestras or traveling on the road? You've been in schools and stuff that dealt with cello stuff, right?
Yeah, you mean before Tornado Rider?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tornado Rider's been going since for 3 years now, and I quit classical music when I was 19, so that was about 13 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I quit classical music a long time ago, mainly because I was into folk music and bluegrass and trying to play the cello like a fiddle would be played. I wanted to play it like you could play it on someone's front porch.
Okay. So, when you say fiddle, do you mean just kind of freestyling, as in holding it, or were you actually trying to get it underneath your chin? Because, I want to see that.
Oh, right, you're talking literal. No.
That would be
I
awesome.
Just mean the style. I've tried to put the cello under my chin before, and maybe if I had slightly larger wingspan, it would work.
Or maybe a few more beers. Or something.
I don't know maybe I could. Maybe if it was absinthe, I could hallucinate that it was working. It's just a limited by pure physics.
Good stuff. Yeah, I didn't mean to take it literal, but then my mind started saying, you know what? I want to see this literal. I really do.
I think taking things literally is a really good idea sometimes because people don't realize how much complete falsities they're saying all the time. Especially me. Everyone's always you could be saying something, you're like, hey man, I saw Ralph today, and then my first answer will be, really? Make you say it again, as if I thought you were lying about seeing Ralph. I don't know, I think it's just weird the way we talk. I like words. I pay a lot of attention to words. Mostly, I make up a lot of words. And, well, I don't know if I make them up, but there's this land of SNES that I have access to. Somehow I've been granted a key and an ambassadorship. And just, I hear a lot of words from the land of SNES.
Yeah, if you surf around the website for those people listening, yeah, there are a couple examples. And you said you have poetry.
Yeah, I do have plenty of poetry that I write in other languages. For example, let me see here. This is just one. I mean, it's not like gonna make you feel like you're like on a fireside carpet with William Burroughs, like smoking a pipe and like looking out with your lover or something kind of poetry. It's more like Orbulus or Gloxianoid, Frampulantos, Fell, Vacuumid, the Populatron, Snon, Enkelmove, Farbledoof, Jedbahur, Neplamur, Mastidrap, Plurtidrap, Bexobanethos, Snut, Idrich, Phenoculon. Bargamus, Nalbafus, Maya Bloxington's Dark Piece.
Bravo.
You know what I mean? It kind of jumps on you fast, and like it's going to distract you. And the idea is to distract the reasoning faculty so that you can just experience the pure good time.
That's a really good thing to do. I think more bands should do. I guess something like that. Some bands take themselves too seriously, though. You have to agree with that, right?
I definitely think so, especially today. I mean, people almost like, well, it's like almost like they have to because of the economic state and the state of the music industry. Like, people are really serious. Like, they think they got to just take everything so seriously because they're desperately fighting against all these other bands and all this internet promotion and mega stuff to try to, like, make a sound or be heard. But to me, it's not worth being heard unless I'm being heard in my own words.
All right, now getting to Tornado Rider itself, the band that you were currently involved with, how did the band come about? Like, were the guys like friends of yours growing up, or like, what you said you've been in bands before? Like, did you guys know each other, or was there like, hey, I'm a cellist, I'm looking for a bass player and a drummer, or were they a bass player and a drummer looking for a cellist?
It was me looking for something. I quit my lucrative career in folk music, but I was traveling all around the world playing a bunch of folk music and bluegrass gigs that were, a product of me wanting to play fiddle music on the cello. It worked pretty well, and I got flown everywhere, and it was awesome. But it was not as satisfying. I wanted to play my own music, and so I had a few bands doing that. A couple of them fell apart, and I had, after a while, I decided I had done a solo tour in Denmark, and I realized I really needed a band. And so I called up my buddy Scott, who had played drums when he had just started playing drums, and I'd known him for a long time. And he had a friend, Graham, that was very talented multi-instrumentalist, and, we got him to play bass in the band and then start Tornado Rider so I could have a format for trying to do this weird music that I was writing. And it really has developed a lot over the 3 years. I mean, it's pretty amazing. If you listen to the first rehearsal tapes that we have to what it is now, it's just everything got heavier and louder and faster, and now it's getting more jicky. It's getting more full of like weirdness, but like a friendly kind of weirdness. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like sneaky mischief of elves and goblins and stuff.
And yes, so some of the names of the songs kind of like it makes it fun, doesn't it? If you just kind of add a layer of the fun weird to it.
You said we're just doing that just now?
Well, no, it's what you had said. Like, you're adding the fun weird. So, like that makes it fun.
I mean,
doesn't
I
it?
think there's plenty of bands out there that are weird, but I don't know. I mean, fun weird is kind of a rare combination these days. I still don't know why fun is like being like a really like fun band is like so rare. I guess because there's such this thing about being tough and being hardcore and being a badass. You know what I mean? And just like being like, yo, it's a little band, it's gonna kick your ass and stuff. Like, I mean, I'm like a fun-loving, elfish person that likes to jump around and tumble in fields. I mean, I will make no qualms about it, or what do you call it? I will hide in no bushes. I said I will hide in bushes. I really like, and actually in Halloween, I'm looking forward to doing some genuine scaring of people. I have a couple times on Halloween night, spent most of my night just trying to startle people. Not in like I'm going to like saw your head off with a chainsaw, kind of scary, but like you hide behind a bush or a telephone booth in New York City, and then when people come by, you just like come out and go, ah! And they get a fright. I think people are too accustomed to just like having Halloween be all about candy, and they need to be, they need to get a little bit of fright and get some adrenaline going and get hyped up. You know what I mean?
The literal spirit of Halloween. Yeah, it's supposed to be scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it'd be scary when they turn 19 and they have cavities, I guess.
What?
It'd be scary when they're like 19 or 20 and all of a sudden they got all these cavities, and now the dentist is kind of scary, isn't it, huh? Huh, kids? You like that, huh?
Yeah, that's a different kind of scary. That's more of the like, the long-term scary.
Now, when I said to a couple people that I'm going to be interviewing the guys from Tornado Rider, the first thing I asked, like, did anyone want to ask me some questions that I should ask him? And almost everyone said the costumes or the what you guys wear on stage. Like, is that just it adds to the carefree, the fun, weird attitude that you guys bring to the stage, right?
I mean, the costumes are kind of obvious for me and us because we are doing something, more above and beyond just playing music up there. I mean, obviously music is the front and centerpiece of it all, but I feel like when you pay money to go see a show, at least you're going to go pay me. I want to give people their full-on money's worth in terms of, like, having reality fully suspended. You're not just seeing dudes up there, like, so that if they want, you can add a little bit of imagination and imagine that, yes, you did step into another world and you are seeing, like, some mythical beings, like, just, like, jumping around. And, it would be a lot harder to do if we're just wearing sweaters and jeans, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe not that hard, but, like, I always like the idea of being, like, larger than life or smaller than life. Like, like if you're, like, 1 inch tall, kind of smaller than life. Or, like, being, like, gods, or being, like, from another dimension, or just from another little world, like, putting on a show.
All right, when I first saw you guys, it was Chicago's Warped Tour over the summer, and your energy really just explodes on stage. Now, are you the kind of band that feels that you feed off the energy that the crowd gives you, or do you want to be more control of it, where you want to kind of control their energy, get more upbeat, and then, have them, just kind of feed off you, or do you feed off them? If you feel that they're getting more energy, do you then start kind of doing the bouncing off the wall stuff just to egg it on more?
Before every show, I'm ready to go as full force as I can possibly go. I'm ready to get really hyped up, but it is definitely, I will say, it's a very interactive and spontaneous experience, with the crowd and how they're feeling and what kind of crowd it is. If it's a big dancing crowd or if it's like a small listening crowd, the shows will be really different. I mean, I'm always going to like jump around because I get excited and feel like jumping and running is like the only way I can express that. And if I'm feeling the music, you know what I mean? But some shows will play like all just like super hard power jams and just really like rocking that the people just want to rock. But then in the more like sensitive like listening environments, like I like to go on a lot of tangents and maybe we'll make up some songs on the spot, or like I'll break it down and read him a poem or whatever. It's like very different from show to show, and I feel like that's one of our strong points as a band is our ability to be different from show to show, because a lot of bands these days are just trying to like, stick to the corporate formula and make the money and use the backing tracks and like play it exactly how it was on the album, and like I don't know what that's all about, like where the spirit of rock and roll went, but I mean, you know what I mean? There's like what about the spontaneity, and what about being able to play half a song and just stop it? Like, we're not machines. Like, I'm all about heading in the direction of not being robots. And in 20 years, when everyone's just like all synced out and, maybe just like it's all like backing tracks and there's no actual live bands anymore. Like, or maybe in 200 years when that stuff gets crazy and everyone becomes robots, somebody somewhere will start playing an instrument, and then that'll be the thing, and people will be like, "Whoa, look what what's going on over there," and then that's what I think.
Now, when any other like run of the mill band goes on tour, they bring a few guitars, just in case one breaks, or maybe they like this song sounds better with that guitar, this song sounds better with that guitar. I can't see the cello thing being cheap. Do you have a couple of cellos laying around, and does everyone know how to string that up just in case like strings break?
Well, I can string it up pretty fast, and as has happened before, when I break strings during a show, if I don't just decide to go like all vigilante on it and play the rest of the show with 3 strings instead of 4 or whatever, I'll just incorporate the changing of the string into the show. You know what I mean? Like, I'll have like Scott and Graham will hold down a groove, and I'll do some like snappy rapping over it. I have a lot of raps in different languages. Like back in the north when I found the water truck with a double on the bean, all the snake getting about an egg with the wick ball on the bean. I like go into that kind of stuff while I'm changing the string, and so it's actually still like entertaining. We don't have to take a break. If my cello did break, I do have spares. I get cellos kind of cheap. I look for when you can go to an instrument store and find one that they're not using and buy it for $100 or $200 or $300, whereas most people that are professional classical cellists, they have cellos upwards of $6,000.
Ooh.
I mean, a lot of people play $50,000 cellos, $100,000 cellos. I mean, it's like a Ferrari or something. I mean, craziness. I have my cello that I got when I was for my 16th birthday was $6,000, and I still have it, and it's my favorite cello to play. I play it acoustic all the time, but no one would let me play that one on stage anymore because I started to thrash about in a too uncontrollably violent of a fashion, and it was going to take. I mean, that thing's 100 years old, so I had to start seeking out really cheap, kind of beater cellos, as it were, and then ones that I can rip up.
So I take it the beater cello was the one that was in the water during the Golden Apple Dance, right? Because like the $6,000 one, that's not what you were floating on with, right?
No, I wasn't floating with my baby cellos there. No, I was floating with definitely a beater. That was probably the cheapest cello I've ever gotten, and it was perfect though. I mean, it worked for the water.
All right, back to some of the tour stuff. When I go to Warped Tour, I make sure that I don't miss the bands that I know I want to see this band. I know I want to see this band. I get that playing like a bank heist. But I always want to find the 3 to 5 bands that I wasn't familiar with, such as Tornado Rider, and I try to become their fans. And sure enough, every time I've been to Warped Tour, I find at least 3 bands that I'm like, okay, they're some of my new favorite bands. When you did Warped, did you find any other bands that got your attention?
Well, let me think. Can I remember any other bands that really got our attention? There was one band that was dressed really cool. They kind of looked like some like modern emo version of Kiss or something. And there was like tons of people there. And it was kind of exciting to see like a band that's like really doing it, that has like more of that's making it big or whatever. Like to see them in all their crazy makeup, like all matching on stage and like with all these fans just jumping around, like it looked pretty exciting. Although I can't remember how good their music was or even what they were called. I mean, honestly, we were there for 2 days and that was it. And we wanted to make the most of our Warped Tour experience, which, I mean, we see other bands all the time. Like, I'm sure if a band's awesome, we'll find out about them eventually. But we just wanted to get ourselves out there as much as possible in the time that we had there, which is 1 day in Detroit and 1 day in Chicago. So after we played our set on both days, like, I just walked around everywhere with my cello, just playing for people. And like, I had like a Tornado Rider, it said Tornado Rider on my cello. And so anytime anybody would want to take a picture with me, because I was just all crazy playing cello, being all weird, like, they have Tornado in the picture so they could remember. So hopefully we got some more fans that way, or people just got exposed to more friendly ideas. Or even if not, at least they got dosed with a weird experience in life that there was a jester running around playing the cello in some weird stylings at their festival.
All right. Now, you've played Now, you guys tour a lot, but you've played like the Whiskey in West Hollywood. I saw that you guys played the Boom Boom Room in San Francisco. What are some of your favorite venues to play in, and what's like the must-hit cities when you guys do go on tour?
Well, we have a really good following in Florida, in Tampa and Tallahassee and Jacksonville and in the Panhandle, Destin style areas. I mean, I don't know if a lot of bands go there that much, but we have a great time every time we go to Florida. But I love playing in Austin, Texas too. We play at this club called Momo's a lot, which is upstairs, and all the musicians go there. It's a really nice place, and it's a really fun place to play music in. It's always fun to go to Portland and Seattle and stuff. Yeah, I think Austin is probably my favorite place to play, just because people are so appreciative of music out there.
It is, South by Southwest is, I urge people to try it once. The big music festival, and just Austin in particular, it's just like just a fun little city to go to. Yeah, totally. There's so much stuff to do there. That's a place where I've really checked out some other cool acts, because, honestly, I think that the kind of person I am in my taste and everything, I'm more likely to get really hyped up on some underground legend than I am with like some modern band that's like trying to make it into the forefront these days. For example, in Austin, my friend Warren, who's in the scene, fiddle player, he took me to see this guy. He took us to see two different things. There's this guy named Red Volker that plays the Telecaster, and he's kind of like an underground legend. He loves Austin so much that he never wanted to go make it huge in Nashville or whatever, but he's just like the most deep and awesome guitar player, and he gets like so into it, and he plays just the most mind-melting and beautiful music. And same with this fiddle player named Eric Hoganen that we saw play at this tiny little place in Austin. He just like blew our minds, and he's like so spirited and alive, and like, you know what I mean? I really like when you can see people being so into what they're doing that like it's just there's no room for air to get out. Air is out. All right, I found an article from December 2009 that said Dennis Rodman was joining the band for a little bit. How did that go? And did it ever? Because I didn't see any follow-up articles.
Well, maybe we'll just let that one remain a secret.
Okay.
That one's. I mean, let me see. What's the proper answer to that question? Yeah, he's pretty good, but like, I think that we wanted a more tall guy in the band, so I think Scottie Pippen is going to have to like sub him out.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen's slightly taller than Dennis Rodman, although better defense, not as good a rebounder. I guess we're going to leave it at that, huh?
Yeah, we can just leave it at that.
All right. Let's see.
Although, hey, I should say to your listeners that I did play a game of street ball in downtown Chicago at like 8 a.m. on a Saturday one time with a bunch of big dudes, and it was way intense. It was the most intense sporting experiences of my life. Like I got like pushed and like I fell through a grate and like I scraped up my hand. It was all bleeding everywhere, and I was just like racing these big old dudes and like trying to get rebounds. It was really fun and funny.
Nice. Like that, yeah, that is some Chicago street ball. Speaking of Chicago, you are coming here November 9th to play at Reggie's. That's in the South Loop. And it's part of this upcoming tour that starts this week. What are we expecting from this tour? I know you're starting off in Florida.
Yeah, starting off in Florida and then working our way around Florida and then through the South, like Atlanta and Birmingham and those kind of zones, and then up the middle through to Chicago, and that's because that's on the way to Wisconsin, where we had this. Every tour has its anchoring gig. For example, we got a festival in Florida that's paying us good, and we have like some big gig in I think it's called Greenpoint, Wisconsin.
Let's see, Stevens Point.
Stevens Point, yeah, I mixed up Green Bay and
yeah.
So we're
Stevens Point, Green Bay
on the way there, which is gonna be rad.
All right, the new CD is Jark Matter, which is available on iTunes. Any videos coming up for the new album? You had the Golden Apple Dance on the last album.
Good question. You know, we were thinking about making a video for Start Off Heads. I made like a homemade video of me jumping around on my ex car on the hood of my Volvo, like for the Goat God, and like jumping over a fence and like picking up wood and gnawing on it and stuff. Like I like to make really weird videos. I think that should be part of our scene, but we haven't put that one up yet. So, but yeah, we will be trying to work on that. Although we probably can't really do much in that department until Christmas.
All right. Well, Rashad, thanks for joining us on Radio Exposed. I urge everybody to check out you guys on YouTube and in person. Guys, my Chicago listeners, Reggie's, November 9th. They're going to be there. And I believe it's free, isn't it? I saw it on the Reggie's thing.
I wouldn't be the right person to comment on such a situation.
I clicked on it and I'm like, that can't be right. But even if it's not, it's still worth. It's worth every penny.
It's not going to be expensive for sure. We can guarantee that it's not going to be that expensive, you know.
But yeah, you guys are very entertaining and very funny. So yeah, thanks for coming on our silly podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Are you going to see me there?
I will be there, and I'm trying to get some other people that were with me on Warped Tour to come to that show. But